Yesterday I've been to this grocery store. So there was a lady standing in front of the cookie counter. So a lot of cookies and a lot of biscuits and a lot of cream and a lot of things like that. Okay, she was standing in the middle of it, and she was like a kid in the candy store. Well, she is a kid in the candy store. You know what just pisses me off? We eat like we haven't seen the food in like 10 million years. Why? Our lifestyle made us so comfortable that we give in to that instant gratification called sugar. And we just go into it like so much. I feel so pathetic about it. I feel so pathetic because are we so weak enough to just slip into the thing that we actually see? Like whatever just gives us the instant rush and then we just go for it. We just don't do the hard things. Look at our typical Fridays and Saturdays. And it's so monotonous. It's just like, okay, everybody's drinking, everybody's going to the bar, everybody's clubbing, everybody's eating some shit. Come on, man. You're wrecking yourself up. I mean, I'm not asking you not to do it. That's not what my point is. But my point is that if you can actually take a little bit of control over whatever the shit that you put in your mouth, it's going to pay off in the long run. Because there's no point in regretting after 60, after 50, when the doctor's coming into your life and they're saying that stop eating shit. And that's going to be like, holy crap, I should have thought about it back then. There's no point in thinking about it. There's no point in living regret after that. What's the point? I mean, your mind, as much as your mind wanted to do it, but unfortunately, your body will not let you do it. Of course, I want to go loud at this because I was seeing it was a very pathetic scene for me to see that grown-ass lady who was standing in front of the cookie counter and she was in the candy store. How insane. I mean, why? Cream biscuit. I mean, I do understand it's your food and all that, but you're not supposed to. We are not designed to eat like that, ladies and gentlemen. We're not supposed to eat like that. That's not what we're supposed to eat, okay? You're supposed to eat like natural food. Meat. They don't eat meat. Look at our teeth. That tells you, oh, I'm a vegan. I mean, if you're a vegan, good for you, but at least don't eat the crap like that. You can eat that, but you cannot eat meat. Unbelievable. You can eat crap like that, but you don't want to go for vegetables. You can sit for like 45 minutes in front of the TV, but you cannot go for the 10 minutes of treadmill. And then you're saying that I am fat. Really? What exactly are you going to do about it? Either you complain or you take action. Either you decide or you keep discussing. Both will never happen. Don't even expect that. You cannot drive both at the same time. You are accountable for your own life. Okay, be responsible for your own life and your own health and your shape and your being fit. You be responsible. Okay, if you still love me after this video, I've done something wrong. Okay, I don't need love. Respect would do. So I want to talk about fat and what exactly the fat is doing to your body and whatever the crap we're consuming. Please be watchful about it. Understand your food, understand your body, and eat according to the function. It is called feeding for a reason. Okay, I'm very sad. I'm overwhelmingly sad after seeing that scene yesterday. After what I saw yesterday, I was so down because I knew the moment I saw her, she was round. And that's how it is. I mean, it's got nothing to do with the genetics. It's got nothing to do with the body. It's not rocket science to even just eat clean. Right? Of course, she's got a problem with her thing, with the way she looks or whatever. Of course, she's a problem. But the question is like, what exactly are you going to do about it? They don't want to do anything about it. They still want to sit on the TV, eat some chips, watch some TV, and then go to bed. That's exactly what they're doing day in and day out. And then what happens? What will change? Complaints? What will complaint change? Let me break it down to you, okay? By the end of this, please get this right. Please get a right perspective about the food, especially the fat. So what exactly is the fat? Fat is nothing but one macronutrient among the 3 macronutrients. Basically, your food comprises of 3 macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Fat is the only macronutrient which has got a higher density in terms of calories. It's got about 9 calories well compared to the protein and carbohydrates. Okay, energy that actually requires to burn off that 1 gram of fat or 1 gram of any food that you take. Okay, that's pretty much with the concepts. So just getting on to the types, I want to get down to really deep. Okay, I want to see I want to tell you as to how things can work. All right. So first is there are multiple classifications of fat. One is the saturated fat, another one is the unsaturated fat. So under the saturated, just stay away from saturated. Point simple, point blank. Okay, stay away from saturated. Now, how can you recognize as to what is saturated, what is trans, and what is unsaturated? All right. So first one is the milk. So milk has got saturated fat. Don't stay away from it, but stay away from it. By that I mean have a very limited quantity in any given day. That's how it is. Okay, human body is not completely digestively adaptable towards the dairy products, so just stay away from it. Not too much, but then keep a distance with it. The next one is the cheese. The next one is the pizza. And then you have butter, and then you have meat and meat products, which has got saturated fat. Next one is the cookies that you have it. And next one is like other dairy, anything of the flavored milk, and then butter, and then cheese and all that. So just stay away from that. Another one is the trans fat. In trans fat is nothing but it's a saturated fat, but it's a manufactured fat. Okay, you've got baked goods, you've got oils, you've got crackers, corn chips, donuts, frosting, pastries, pies, margarine. You know what I mean? So you need to be, technically speaking, you need to stay away from it, because you don't need these things like this concept called a snack. And that is what actually leading you to diabetes or high cholesterol or things like that. Okay, so these are the things that you should be saying absolutely no, because it's not going to give you any nutritional benefit. I mean, it's good, but then you still can, you would still be able to get it from other sources and not necessarily have to be dependable on this one. Okay, technically speaking, a human body doesn't require any of this what I have mentioned for you to function. Okay, so baked goods are nothing but the crackers, cookies, and bread, and etc. Okay, oils, refined vegetable oil, it's the most injurious one, but the way they market it, you're going to buy it. And I'm pretty sure that 80% of whom you watch, you are predominantly being dependent on the vegetable oil for your cooking and all that. And then you pour, you don't put drops, but you pour. Okay, and the next one is the hydrogenated vegetable oil. This is like, or this one, how will you be able to identify it? It's like when you actually go to the label over there, you'll be able to see what that is. It's a process of refining it. Okay, so that's what you need to be staying away from. So that is pretty much it with the trans fat. So saturated, trans fat is also coming under the saturated. So saturated is nothing but all the natural ones, and the trans fat is like the manufactured saturated fat. Yes. So just stay away from it. Another one is the unsaturated. So whatever I'm going to discuss over here right now is the only thing that you could possibly be eating for the rest of your life. Okay, that means this is one type of fat which is going to up your HDL and lower your LDL. HDL is like nothing but high density and low density. I'm going to be covering that as to what are the functions of it and all that. Okay, so unsaturated, there are like two types. Okay, one is the mono unsaturated fat, and then the polyunsaturated fat. So in mono, there are nothing but the whole foods, which is predominantly like olive oil, almonds, basically vegetable oil. But then it's not like entirely of it, but it's got a little bit of difference, like fats that you get from sources like this. Okay, peanut butter is the same, and then you have avocado, and then you have almonds, etc. Okay, so these are the things you can have it. You can have it like within a limit. There's always a limit for everything that you consume. So this is like, you can go up to 15 to 20%, or probably 15 to 20 grams if you're going for nuts, or if you're taking it as a whole in your everyday diet, you can take about 30%. I mean, less than 30%. 25 to 30% is like it's like an optimum number for you to be able to function. All right, not function, but then it's just kind of, it helps you for a better cholesterol level in your body, because like I said, there are two types of cholesterol, like a bad cholesterol and good cholesterol. So polyunsaturated fat is nothing but the omega-3, from which you will be able to get it from foods like whatever I'm telling you. Omega-3, it's like kind of important because it raises your HDL. Okay, flaxseed, fish, sunflower oil, sunflower seeds, corn, flaxseed oils, and things like that. So you can just eat any of this. Either you can take it, like you can blend it and eat it like the flaxseed or soybean or anything like that, or maybe you can just go for the whole natural. Eat a lot of fish, fatty fish. Okay, I don't necessarily go for the fish, but so that what I do is I just go for the flaxseed or almonds. I just blend them in the blender, and then I kind of eat it like maybe 15 to 20 grams a day. That's how I go for it. Okay, so that is pretty much with the unsaturated fat. Now I want to tell you essential fatty acids. So these things are like pretty much essential for your human body. Okay, so by that I mean there are a lot of several researches and studies that have been conducted, and they have come to a point where among all three macronutrients, you need, first thing is like what you need is like the fat to even function. That is only on the case when you actually run out of the food. That means you can actually survive with the fat, what you're going to consume or what you already have. That doesn't mean that you are going to run out of the food today, and that doesn't mean that you have to eat a lot so that you can conserve a lot of fat. Yeah, so you just want to, I mean, keep a distance with the fat is what I'm trying to say. Even if you are picking, be picky about the fat, be picky about the food that you eat, so that you can actually have a direct control over the cholesterol level that is in your body. Yeah, so omega-3, like I said, whatever the food that I have mentioned over here, which is like the walnuts, flaxseed, etc. So all these things you would be able to get it from I mean, all the omega-3 you'll be getting from that. So omega-3 and omega-6 is kind of important. But what happens on the other side is like when people focus more on the omega-3, there could possibly be the deficiency of omega-6, which is also not good. Okay, so you need to keep a balance of both. Yes. So what are the benefits of it? Vitamin absorption, which means that the vitamins can be that, your blood will better absorb and then takes the vitamins to places. Okay. Another one is the metabolic rate will like shoot up, and I have personally experienced this one. Energy production, the better fat that you have in your system, the better energy you have. Improved insulin sensitive, that means you're not like directly heavily sensitive towards insulin. That means your glucose level is always under control, provided you are going to ingest a lot of good carbohydrates and things like that. Okay. Another one is the oxygen transfer to your system, to the brain, and all that. EFA is going to help you a lot. Okay. Next one is the promotes growth. Yes, excuse me for that. Okay, it promotes growth hormone, and another one is a cortisol production. Cortisol is nothing but you have a stress hormone. If somebody is actually stressed with things, this kind of helps like in a good way, in a pretty better way. Okay. Joint health, yes, I mean that's given, and helps burn fat. Now this one kind of caught your attention, I know that. So what I'm saying, like how this is so counterintuitive. If you see, how am I supposed to burn the fat? How am I, you know what I mean? Like how am I supposed to burn the fat when I eat more fat? Now that's how it is. So you need to trick your body in a way that you're getting a constant supply of a fat, and that fat's supposed to be good fat. When there is a steady supply of the good fat, whatever that I have mentioned above, at that point your body's in a position, the body's in a state to understand that, okay, I can take off the fat which is not required. That means your LDL, that means your low density lipoprotein. Okay, it's sort of a fat, it's a tissue, right? That is actually going to go away. It's not, you cannot zero down, but then you can actually reduce the tissue and then take off the fat cells. Okay, so those are the benefits that you can possibly get from essentially putting the EFA into your diet. Yes. Another one is a trans fat. So whatever I have discussed over here, like the trans fat, which is a manufactured fat, that one, how are you going to be, like, what are the effects of it? So first one is like, it is going to give you a very high insulin response. That means insulin is nothing but it's a hormone which shoots when the glucose is kind of high. So when your body reaches a point where you cannot take any glucose in your blood cells, that means your insulin is coming by. That is actually being produced by pancreas. So the more insulin, the chances of fat being burnt is very less. So that's the state. So I don't want you to be, so 90% of our diet is like constantly putting the insulin up. That's what is funny thing about it. And then people will be like, oh, I got diabetes, so what am I supposed to do? Yeah, stop eating, man. Okay. Another one is causes cancer. It can cause several amount of cancers, like several types of cancers when it comes to constant ingestion of the trans fat, right? Decreases insulin sensitivity. Now sensitivity is important. So your insulin is kind of being sensitive towards the glucose and other things. Okay, so when the glucose is kind of going up, you need to be constantly monitoring, because when you actually get into the fat loss journey, when you actually wanted to get onto the diet, quote unquote diet, at that point your insulin is your best friend and insulin is your worst enemy. So you need to be carefully closely watching about how you monitor your insulin, because you need to be keeping it at an optimum level and you need to bring it down. You need to keep it at an optimum level and you need to bring it down. How are you going to do it? Only with the strategically placing your EFA. That is the essential fatty acids. All right. Now the trans fat is what you need to take it off, because the more trans fat that you have, it's gonna hamper your insulin sensitivity. At that point, you're going to be like super insulin sensitive, and then you're gonna be finding it really difficult to even just burn the fat. Okay. Another one is EFA function, is nothing but essential fatty acids function. It's going to burn off. So when there is more trans fat, that means it is going to disturb all of these functions, right? So all of these functions will be like touched and disturbed. So you don't want to be doing it. You need to be in a high throttle, full throttle functioning mode to be healthy, to be on a better state. Okay. So you don't want to be derailing. So trans fat can do that. Raises HDL. Like I said, it's LDL is nothing but low density lipoprotein. It's a kind of a tissue that is the fat tissue. So that is going to be raised. That means that the bad cholesterol is going up and then good cholesterol is coming down. Yes. Excuse me for that. HDL. Yes. Hampers immune system. I don't have to say that. You know it. Slows down the liver detox. So your liver is taking the complete damage of whatever the crap that you are ingesting, because when the food is getting into the mouth, that means it travels through the oesophagus and then goes into the intestines, right? So if it's got a lot of chemicals, liver is the only thing which actually processes it. When the food is actually getting metabolized, liver is the only thing that actually processes the whole chemicals or anything that is not required for the body, and then sends out the clean food, or sends out the vitamins or minerals or macros or whatever. So that detox will slow down. Eventually, your liver is also taking a big hit when you have a lot of trans fat. Trans fat is nothing but manufactured fat, right? So these are the possible effects of having a trans fat in your body, right? You haven't even checked it. I'm pretty sure about it. We don't check it. We tend to neglect it, and that's where big damage is being caused, right? So yeah. So now the big question is like how much fat you actually need. Now, in this, the first one I want to talk about is it purely depends on your carbohydrate intake. Now, either you can have protein and fat in your every meal, or you can have protein and carbs, or you can have protein and carbs and fat, but also it should be a very optimum level. Either it's or. Okay, if that made any sense, right? So if your carbohydrates are around 40%, keep your fat to 20%, and then you can keep your protein to 40% on your regular thing. But again, there are a lot of types of diet which is coming by, like Atkins and keto and things like that. So all those things you need to be really watchful, because every different types of diet has got a different way of saying it, getting it out and all that. So in that case, you need to be really careful as to how much you're ingesting and all that. Okay. The next one I want to talk about is the higher side. So if you have the highest that you can go will be about 60% of fat. That means your total consumption of any food in any given day will be predominantly be based on the fat, and the next one is like the protein, which have to go for the next priority, and then come the carbohydrates. Because when you're ingesting like so much of fats, that means you're ingesting so much of calories. So that means it's got a direct impact as to how your food is getting absorbed in your body. Okay. So you need to be keeping about 60% if that is what you're keeping at, and then you'll have to obviously reduce on the protein and carbohydrates. Okay. That's on the high side. But the standard guideline, what a person can have in a 2000 calorie diet per day, which is like typical, or pretty typical for an average human being. That means you can go up to 30%. Up to 30%. It's just not more, and it's not less than 20% if I have to keep it that way. But if you're a person who is like having a strong physical activity and having a diet in check and everything is like super balanced and all that, that means you have to keep it anywhere from 15 to 20%. You don't go overboard on this fat aspect, but the 20% is essential. Again, there's a lot of people who make a mistake on this one and just go like zero fat. They say zero fat, but then that doesn't work, because your body it needs it for the thermic effect. Okay, it's got a thermic effect. It's got a lot of fat is probably one thing which has got like a higher energy expenditure at the same time, right? So it's very much required. So the next one I want to talk about is the labels. How are you going to read the labels? From this, things are going to change in your perception. The way you look at your food is going to change. Okay, and I want you to pay close attention to this one, because I put in a lot of work on this. I mean, not just because of that, but then just watch it. All right, take notes. So in 100-gram chips, right? These guys are going to kill me if they watch this. Right? So the total energy is 544. I have put it in 100-gram, 100-gram amount. Okay. So if you eat 100 grams of cream and onion, after this, you will never smile. You never calm smile. You never do the calm smile. Okay. So the energy is like 544, 545 kilocalories. So that means you have the fat of 34 grams. You have a total fat of 34 grams and you have total carbohydrates of 51.6 grams. Okay. And top it off, there's the sugar. So how are you going to calculate what are the percentage of this one? It's very simple. So if I have to take it like 34 grams, okay. So 34 grams, let me just open up the calculator here. So every gram is 9 calories. That means 34 grams into 9, it gives me 306. So 306 calories in 100 grams of chips. Okay. When you actually take that 306 and convert it to the percentage on 544, so 306 divided by 544 will give me 56.25%. So that means 56% of this particular packet of chips is fat. Now that is suicide mission. This is the best way that I can put it. Right? I cannot make it easier to understand. So this is how you need to be reading the labels, and this is how I want you to be approaching towards any food. So don't approach chicken as chicken, approach it as protein. Okay, don't approach a bag of rice as rice, approach it as carbohydrates. Okay, so when you look at a chicken, when you look at eggs, you're going to be looking at protein and fat. 4 grams of protein, or probably 6 grams of protein if you're taking the whole egg, and then it's got like, I don't know, 9-10 grams of fats or something like that, so that you'll be able to establish what exactly you're putting it in, so that you will be able to establish how much you're burning it out, or how much you can possibly burn out because you have eaten so much of food. Okay, it is as simple as this. Now you might think that, is it so serious? Well, you know the answer. Now, this one is another familiar one. Okay, the Cadbury guys are going to come after me for sure. Yeah. Okay, how much has this got? So total calories, or the energy, is 530. So out of this, the fat is 30 grams, 30.5 grams, and the carbohydrates is 56 grams. So when you say the 30 grams, so 30 grams, 30.5. So again, let me open the calculator. Just open the calculator, and then you have 30.5 grams of fat into 9 calories. That gives me 274. 274 divided by 530, which is like a total calories, and that you're going to get 0.51 into 100 is yes, 51%. 51% of fat, ladies and gentlemen. 51% of fat in 100 grams of chocolate. This is going to do the enough damage for you, and then it's going to stay in your system for like weeks, unless you have a strong physical activity, strong workout session, strong training session. Now, this is how you need to be calculating the food. All right, let's get into the next one. So what is the practical guide? If I can give you, I have summarized the practical guide as to how you need to approach the food or the fat. Okay, in this case, I have put only the fat, right? First one is like, you need to limit butter. If you're a constant eater of butter, just limit that. Okay. Number 2 is say no to trans fat. You need to be just staying away from that. Okay. Trans fat, you can find it on the manufactured goods. Anything which is packaged, you'll be able to find it. Most cases, it will be 0. If it is 0, you don't have to worry about it. But still, you need to be watchful about other things, whatever you're seeing, like cornmeal, corn syrup, and then pie syrup, or some like that. Okay. There's a lot of different names. Everything has got to do with the fat and sugar. Just stay away from that. Okay. Another one is avoid empty calories. Avoiding empty calories like the masalas, the seasoning, and everything that you put in. Just stay away from that as well. Okay. Eating fatty fish. You need to eat a lot of fatty fish to even just get this point in perception. You know what I mean? Like you need to eat a lot of fatty fish, which is like kind of good, and it raises the HDL. Remember that I told you, right? The next one is like eat a lot of nuts. I would say eat from 15 to 20 grams, or even you can go up to 25 grams. If you have like a good workout session every day, you can eat up to 25 grams. Okay. Next one is like always go for the low fat diet, but then don't go for the no fat diet. No fat is not good. Low fat is good. LOW is good. NO is not good. Okay, don't stay away from fat. You need fat, but what type of fat is what you need to be conscious about. 50 to 20%, like I said, in your every meal or probably in every day, you need to be having about 15 to 20% of your fat. This is very much essential for your body to function better. All right. The next one is don't cut on your fat like too low. Don't go like too low on your fat, like 10%, less than 10% or something like that. Don't go there. Okay. So this is your optimum level. So this is pretty much the practical guide of fat. I think we've covered pretty good. Okay, that's a lot. All right, that's a lot. So if you want, I can give you this one. If you want this, just DM me and I can give you this, and from this you'll be able to take action as to what you need to do and all that. Okay, so I hope I have given you some value. Okay, so this is what is the damage that is being caused, ladies and gentlemen. Please be watchful about whatever you eat, because you are what you eat. Okay, so having said that, I'm going to go off. So you stay hard and kill it, and I will see you on the next episode. Okay, until then, bye-bye.